Da 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 da. We hot? We rolling? What's up, English 1102 class? This is Professor Bostian, and I'm coming at you from my apartment. Got a green screen, got lights, got multiple cameras, I got a lapel mic, and I've been learning a little bit about video editing. Just kidding, I already knew a lot about it. Now, times are weird, and just like you, I'm sitting in my apartment doing nothing, possibly for the next 4 to 6 weeks. I'm scared to eat, I'm scared to be around people, I'm scared to call my mom, I'm scared, I don't know, to go. I live right next to Kroger, I can't even go down there, can't even go out to a bar. It's madness right now. But I just want to let you know that despite world events, the world will still turn. We'll get through this, not only as an 1102 class, but as a society as a whole. Just stay hunkered down, listen to the CDC, the experts, and make sure that you're washing your hands. Can't stress that enough. Okay, so before I start this lesson, I do need to make a couple of announcements. So first of all, Kevin Smith, and I'm just using an alias because you can't use your real name. There's this little thing called FERPA that prevents me from calling you out. Don't you ever send me a email that has the subject line 911 emergency, especially when we're going through a pandemic. If your email is about an emergency with your paper, please say emergency with paper in the subject line, not 911 emergency, okay? Second thing, I know I assigned y'all some extra credit activity that involved you going to see a movie. I realize since we're sort of kind of living through an apocalypse right now, that might not be feasible for everyone. So I'm going to change the rules a little bit. You can watch a movie on Netflix, Hulu, I don't know if they have movies, really any streaming service, and write a review about it. 1 page, same rules. Only exception is please do not write a review about Frozen 2. I don't want to read that. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about counterarguments.
An argument is a connected series of statements to establish a definite proposition.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. It isn't just contradiction.
Look, if I argue with you, I must take up a contrary position.
But it isn't just saying no, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
If you took me for 1101, you know that I love arguments. I specialized in it when I was an undergrad. It's kind of my shit. But due to recent world events and the fact that I don't want to reteach it, I can't really go into detail about the logical construction of an argument. So today we're just going to be focusing on a counterargument, and you should have a good idea of what you are writing as an argument in your paper. Now, when I typed in argument on Google, and if you go to Google right now, you type in what is a counterargument, and press enter, you're going to get this, and I'm pretty sure it's from Webster's Dictionary. A counterargument is an argument or set of reasons put forward to oppose an idea or theory developed in another argument. So, let's say, for example, I have this really good argument that Tom Hanks is the greatest actor of our generation. Now, how would I prove that? If you understand the logical construction of an argument, you know that you have premises that build up to a conclusion. So I would say, Tom Hanks is the greatest actor of our generation because 1, you got Forrest Gump, you got Saving Private Ryan, you got Toy Story 1, 2, and 3, you got Polar Express, you got Big, you got Captain Sully, you got the other movie where he was also a captain. There's really a lot of different points and premises you could make about Tom Hanks being the greatest actor of our generation, and they all tally up to get to the conclusion that Tom Hanks is the greatest actor of our generation, right? Now, a good counterargument for this hypothetical argument would be, well, what about that one movie that Tom Hanks starred in that no one talks about that got like 30% on Rotten Tomatoes? Or what about the fact that Tom Hanks possibly introduced COVID-19 to Australia?
Are you crying?
No.
Are you crying? Are you crying? There's no crying. There's no crying in baseball.
Those are both really good counter-arguments, and arguments really that would discredit the original argument and the premises, right? On a basic level, that's how I want you to think of your counter-argument. So for example, if you have an argument that is ice cream is the greatest dessert of all time, the counter-argument would be yes, but it melts, right? The counter-argument for your case study should be the most obvious counter-argument you can think of, because that is what the audience will be expecting. Now, one thing that is true is that even though you have one central argument and a bunch of premises that build up that argument, you're going to have a potential infinite number of counter-arguments, right? It's mind-blowing how many counter-arguments that you could possibly have for this paper. But I want you, again, to pick the most obvious one, the one that you think the audience would expect. Because once you set up that expectation, you can immediately discredit it, and that will, in turn, strengthen your actual argument. Now, you might be asking, okay, I get that Professor Bostian is grading for this, right? I get that this is a grade and that I have to do this, but what's the actual practicality of a counter-argument? I'm going to be reading from page 79 of They Say, I Say. I will upload this on D2L, so you can read along if you want. If not, I don't really give a shit. It's up to you. Page 79 says, conversely, if you don't entertain counter-arguments, you may very likely come across as you may come across as closed-minded, as if you think your beliefs are beyond dispute. You might also leave important questions hanging and concerns about your argument unaddressed. And finally, if you fail to plant a naysayer in your text, that's what this book refers to as a counter-argument, you may find that you have very little to say. Our own students often say that entertaining counter-arguments makes it easier to generate enough text to meet their assignment's page length requirements. Wow. And that's one way you can think about it. Now, you know for your case study, you have to have 2 to 3 pages that are an actual argument. And if you have a solid counter-argument, that's at least 1 page accounted for, right? But also the second point they make is that if you don't address a counter-argument and people are thinking of a counter-argument as they're reading your paper, it's going to seem like you're running away from the truth, okay? So, first step in a counter-argument is to think of the most obvious possible counter-argument available, the one that the audience would be expecting. I'm your audience. And then the second step of writing a counter-argument is more about technique. Where do you put the counter-argument in your paper, right? So in They Say, I Say, it actually gives a bunch of templates about how to introduce a counter-argument. And again, I'm going to post this on D2L, so don't worry about that. But a lot of you might be wondering, should I put the counter-argument in the first paragraph of the argument section, the second paragraph, and the third paragraph, the fourth paragraph, fifth paragraph, sixth paragraph, seventh paragraph, eighth paragraph, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter where you put it, as long as it's rhetorically effective. Now, I found in the past, when I've written papers, especially in undergrad, that introducing the counter-argument up front is the most effective way to present a counter-argument, because after you introduce the counter-argument, then you can spend the entire argument section of your paper discrediting it. If you introduce the counter-argument in the last paragraph of your argument section, it may seem like you're running from it. It may seem like you think the counter-argument is too strong. And remember, I want you to introduce the obvious counter-argument and then work to immediately discredit it. Okay, so one of the problems that you might run into is that you might be thinking, I don't know if my political movement has an actual counter-argument. And that's because you're thinking of explicit versus implicit, right? An explicit counter-argument goes back to my Tom Hanks example, right? Tom Hanks is good because of all of these reasons, okay? And here's one of the reasons that he's not good. It's an explicit counter-argument. But a lot of the times, and especially in this very unique assignment that I'm assigning for 1102, the argument is going to be more implicit, okay? So for example, I have a student that's doing Gandhi's Salt March. Not a lot of people are going to explicitly say, this is why Gandhi's Salt March is bad, right? But you might have some implicit dog whistling arguments, counter-arguments, right? Here's why salt prices were affected by Gandhi's Salt March. Here's why Gandhi disrupted peace temporarily in India. I don't know, I'm not an expert on Gandhi's Salt March, but you can see even in those hypothetical examples, I'm not explicitly saying Gandhi's Salt March is bad, I'm saying here's some negative effects. And that's one way you can think about framing your actual argument. So I think, that's it. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, yes. If you have questions about your case study, I will be available for FaceTime chats. I will be available for Skype, obviously over email, it doesn't matter. But what I do want you to do is if you have a question about counterargument specifically or the case study in general, please leave your questions in the comments below. Not only will you be helping students that are reading and watching this video, but you're going to be helping me because I want to make sure that y'all are the most prepared, especially considering current events, to finish this paper. Okay, well, make sure you smash the subscribe button. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure that if you want to leave a comment. I don't give a shit if you go and share this on social media. It'd be kind of cool if I somehow ended up on Jimmy Kimmel right now making these videos. I don't know. I'm just saying, a guy can dream. I don't know. But until next week, that's it. The assignment for this video will be posted on D2L, so be sure to check that out and turn it in by the end of the day. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. I'll see you next week.